Capernaum, Chorazin, and Bethsaida. These three little towns are known as the Evangelical Triangle, with Capernaum here being the most significant. The winter of AD 28, Jesus left Nazareth and came and dwelt in Capernaum. Archaeological evidence indicate that Capernaum's population at the time of the Savior's ministry was about 1,000 to 1,500. It was a growing frontier town that had a garrison of mercenary soldiers under the command of a Roman centurion that was stationed here. They were here to maintain order and protect the tax collectors. In Matthew 9:1, Capernaum became known as Jesus' own city, yet he probably did not have a home here. In Matthew 8:20 it says, "The fox have holes and the birds of the air have their nests, but the Son of Man hath nowhere to lay his head." It is believed that Jesus stayed at the home of Peter's mother-in-law, which is underneath that big building right there to your backside, during the 18 to 20 months that he was based here in Capernaum. Outside of Jerusalem, the Gospel records more events from the Lord's ministry taking place right here in this town than any other location. Christ calls Simon Peter, his brother Andrew, James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John to the ministry while here. Christ heals the demonic in the synagogue. He heals Peter's mother-in-law. He casts out devils, heals a palsied man lowered through the ceiling. Jesus calls Matthew, the tax collector, as a disciple. Jesus preaches great sermons on fastings, discipleship, and forgiveness. He heals the blind and the dumb. His first great day of parables was given right here in Capernaum. The daughter of Jairus was raised from the dead. Christ heals the woman with the issue of blood. He heals two blind men. He heals the dumb man possessed with the devil. He gives his disciples a chance to leave him if they can't obey. He rebukes the scribes and the Pharisees. He pays taxes out of the mouth of a fish. All of this stuff happened while he was here. I've identified 50 significant miracles performed by the Savior. 17 of them were performed in Capernaum or the surrounding area. The Savior's first of 3 great days of parables was taught on the shores of Capernaum. Parables of the sower, the candle under a bushel, the wheat and tares and mustard seed, and others were all done while here in Capernaum. Many of these events took place in the synagogue at Capernaum. This synagogue was unique because it was built by a Gentile rather than a Jew. In Luke 7:5, it indicates that the synagogue was in place prior to the time of Christ and built with the aid of a Roman centurion who the elders and Jews told Jesus, "He loveth our nation and he hath built us a synagogue." So with that in mind, Asher's going to introduce us to the synagogue, the archaeological site here, and what we're going to be seeing for the next 10 to 15 minutes.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you, Asher.
Folks, first of all, as I mentioned, Jesus left Nazareth probably when he was about 30 years old. As you remember, he was rejected by his own town people, right? He came to Capernaum, and it became his new own city. That was his headquarters. He'd be leaving Capernaum to teach his gospel, to perform miracles, and then come back to Capernaum again. Now, what made Jesus choose this town? It's an interesting question. First of all, in the New Testament, if you remember Matthew, when Jesus actually chose Matthew, was sitting at the customs, right, in Capernaum. Now we are told that there were customs in Capernaum. What does that tell us? The fact that there's customs here.
Government.
Sorry?
International trade or something.
Where do you find customs usually? Borders, right? That was a border town. Why a border town? After King Herod died, the kingdom was split among his 3 sons. 2 of his sons ruled in the north, in this area, another son in the south. One son ruled in the Galilee, Antipas. The other son, Herod Philip, became the ruler of the eastern banks of the Sea of Galilee and the Jordan rivers, today's Golan Heights area. So Capernaum was like a border town in between. Okay, a lot of people going in, going out. And one more thing, it was also located, I would say maybe the most important ancient route of that time, Via Maris. In the archaeological digs, they actually found this milestone at the corner. Later on, you can take a look if you want. This milestone was found about 20 meters, 60 feet away from where you're sitting, which tells us the town was not only a border town, it was also located on international route, on Via Maris. The road which started all the way from Egypt, along the Mediterranean, came inland to Capernaum, and from Capernaum it continued to Damascus. So he's actually choosing a place, a border town, and a town which is on the international road, by the way. Now, if you look at the stones around, you might notice that the local stones here are volcanic stones, basalt. Okay, everything, all the houses, you can actually see remains of the house on the other side. They were all built by using the local stones. The only building which was not built by using the local stones is the synagogue, because it was built by limestone, which was built from somewhere else, which was brought from somewhere else. Now, before we go into the synagogue, take a look. You will notice two levels. You have the limestone synagogue on the very top. Now, if you look carefully, you'll see a black basalt platform down below. Can you see it?
Yeah.
The black basalt platform is the remains of the 1st century synagogue from Christ's time. Now, this 1st century synagogue was rebuilt later on at the 4th century, okay? And it was rebuilt by using limestones. So when we go into the 4th century synagogue, we'll actually be staying at the very same location where the synagogue back from Christ's time existed. Okay, folks? Now let's take a look at the synagogue.